Hello fashion fans, welcome to another episode of Clothing Made Easy. I'm your humble host Tanner Killick Carslan, and I'm here to demystify the world of clothing manufacturing. In today's episode, what we're going to be talking about is actually how to prepare yourself just as you're about to contact manufacturers and what kinds of collateral that you need for yourself first and also when you send something to the manufacturer called Moodboard and Lookbooks. So let's get started. Now, out of the two things that you need to be prepared with, the first one's called a mood board, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a board or a collage or a pin board of your mood, the mood for the brand. So for example, it could be based on your emotions, it could be based on textures, it could be based on colors, it could be based on everything that you want your customers to feel when they consider your brand. So why don't we take a look at a couple of examples. Now, remember back in the day when you were like in school and you had a pin board or somewhere on your wall where you're doing homework and you always had your favorite artists or your favorite musicians or boy bands or whatever it was. And so this is actually the same thing for your brand. This type of mood board that you're seeing right now, you can kind of tell where this person's headed with their brand. So they've got some thicker materials, they've got some surface designs on some textiles. It's got that kind of mountain hiking, rivers, forests kind of feel. And this is maybe where the brand is headed for something like this. Now, you can have other types of mood boards. Don't just think that it has to be something really small. Check out this other mood board. This other mood board is huge. You can actually see the person's arm behind it. So this is like a full-length mood board. And you've got photography of different fashion styles and maybe even some lifestyle shots, etc. So what you really want your mood board to be about is the mood for your brand. You want perhaps some textures, you want lifestyle shots, you want colors for sure. In this next example, you can actually see some lipstick and color swatch booklets, possibly Pantones and so on, and a watch and some clothing. Now, with the mood board, you don't need it to have the clothing right away. You can do more lifestyle photographs that you want to put in there and some colors and some textures and so on. The reason for that is you're just trying to get a feel for the mood once you start to formulate the strategy for the brand that you've got and the kind of business message that you want to portray. Now, the fourth mood board that you see an example of, this is actually created by one of our designers, Valerie Susilo. And this was created before the private label collection was coming out. And so in her mood board, she put a movie. You can see The Rock running there on the beach. And then at the same time, you can see sort of this rap style, DJ style, some colors, laptop or a desktop setup, like a computer setup to give a feel for artistic expression, etc. And maybe the workspace. So a mood board is exactly these types of four examples. They can be small, they can be big, they can be lifestyle shots, they could be color palettes, they could be some textures that you're showing, some clothing can be in there, but essentially the mood board is for you to tell yourself, this is for you, this isn't for the manufacturer, to tell yourself what you want the overall mood for the brand to be. Now, the second thing that you're going to be preparing is actually for the manufacturer. This is called the lookbook. A look essentially is what the garments look like, the various different styles of garments that you're going to be presenting to us so that we understand what we're going to be getting ourselves into. A lookbook can be mostly the styles. At this stage, we just want to see the clothing. Now, whether you create something really complex or whether you create something really simple, the number one thing you have to remember for a lookbook is that it's actually about the garments themselves, no longer about just the texture or the color palettes and so on, but what are the garments themselves? Now, all of the different garments. You don't want to ignore it just saying, here's a couple of ideas, manufacturer. No, we want to know, what's the collection look like? What are the things that we're going to be talking about? So let's take a look at a couple of the examples now. Okay, so now in the first example, you're actually seeing something a little bit more complex. This is what usually paid agencies can create for you, or you could do it with InDesign, Adobe InDesign, if you have the skills and knowledge to do it. This is a much more professional way of presenting all the different looks that are going to be in your collection. Now, it's okay if you don't know how to do this. I'll show you a couple of examples following this, but really this is the epitome of what you want your lookbook to look like. It has the garments, it has worded descriptions around the garments, maybe even talks a little bit about the fabrics, the colors, etc. Second example also is another one of these types of lookbooks. Now in this case, you could be using Canva for something like this. You could even be using a Word document, but essentially, again, with this type of lookbook, it's the garments themselves, the looks, the styles, descriptions of what you're looking for. Ideally, we're also kind of trying to figure out, do you know the types of fabrics that you're exploring, the types of textures we might be talking about. Do you have any surface designs like a print, for example? Is it going to be a placement print like this one? Is it going to be an all-around print, etc.? So the lookbook in this case should be not complicated in the sense, but actually a lot more about the full aspects of what you're expecting us to learn about from you. The third lookbook is actually really interesting. This is another take on a lookbook. This is you or someone wearing the different garments that you want to produce. Perhaps you want to replicate something that you already own. So for example, this lady has taken various different photos in almost a sequence of different garments that she's looking to produce. This is a very clever way of doing it because now we understand more than just the garments themselves. We can understand the scale of the person that's going to be wearing them and the overall look that that person's going for. Now this fourth lookbook is actually again from Valerie. This lookbook is for our private label adult leisure, lounge, and swimwear catalog. It doesn't show all the styles. I just decided to show you one of the pages. But this one actually is a hand sketch. I would not be the one to do this, definitely. I could do stickmen, but I can't do this level of sketching. We generally try to avoid sketches, but unless you've got the skills like Valerie does, get photos, get real photos and images from the internet, etc. to get your lookbook. But in this particular example, you can see that the lookbook for some of our styles are hand sketched. They even incorporate texture, the surface designs, prints, color palettes, etc. And this is actually what a lookbook really is. Now, what this lookbook doesn't show, because it would be a little bit too complicated, is we also already know, besides the styles, we know what kinds of fabrics we're exploring. You don't have to have the technical capabilities. You don't need to know that it's a 78% recycled polyester, 22% elastane, stretch fabric, blah, blah, blah. What we want to know is, if it's going to be swimwear, is it recycled or not? How much compression do you want? Does it have to have a lot of spandex or a little bit? Do you want full coverage in case something shows through? We want to know, is there going to be a lot of different surface designs? Like, for example, in this lookbook example, we've got, all sorts of different colors or surfaces and even the prints on the arms and the legs and so on. So once you gather all of that in place, then we're going to be able to understand better how to provide costs, how to provide the realities of manufacturing for you, especially around, can we get those fabrics for you? Can we do the type of printing that you're looking for? And can we actually make these styles? Now you've learned about 2 types of collateral that you're going to need to prepare before you contact manufacturers. Don't forget that the mood board is for you. It's the mood of your brand. It's basic textures, colors, overall feelings, fashion shots, lifestyle shots, mountains and rivers and oceans and cars and planes and offices and all that other stuff. That's the mood board. That's for you. And also now for us, the lookbook. That's the second one. This is clearly very important for us to understand as a manufacturer as you approach us. What are the different looks that you're going to be manufacturing, the different tops, bottoms, hat, whatever it is. We want to see the clothing. We want to also understand that you know the types of fabrics you're exploring, so plunk that in there. The types of colors you're going for the solid colored fabrics, the types of surface designs. Do prepare your surface designs because we're going to want to know, is it a placement print, is it an all-around print, is it digital print, screen printing, etc. So get that part of your strategy figured out with the lookbook. That's what you're going to be sending us. Now, I hope you really enjoyed this content and you find it useful. Smack that like and subscribe button below. Thank you for watching another episode of Clothing Made Easy. I'm your humble host, Tanner Killie Carslan, and we'd love to see you next time.